Today is August 30th, Miko. August 30th. Okay, let's start over. Okay. Welcome to the Budget Mom YouTube channel. Today we're doing a full budget recap for the month of August, and it's craziness. So we're going to be doing a lot of things. We're going to be talking about filling out the Where Did My Money Go worksheets and just going over what that exactly means, as well as looking at where every single one of my dollars went for the month of August, as well as what I have going on for my savings goals. So closing out your budget, what does that really mean? It's essentially looking at where your dollars went, analyzing that information, and tweaking and perfecting your budget as you go along. So really the whole important step of closing out your budget is looking at tracking your spending. Now, I'm a manual tracker, and what that looks like is I like to use the highlighter method. And essentially, I write down and track every dollar that I spend, and then I use highlighter colors to categorize that spending. Tracking your spending is by far the number one most important thing that you will ever do with your budget. Are you asking, what budget categories should I even have? Tracking your spending is going to allow you to see those categories. How much should you assign for each category in your budget? How much should you really be spending in each category of your budget? Tracking your spending is going to do that, because remember, creating a budget is not putting down numbers that you wish and want to be spending. It should be based on what you're realistically spending. And that's what tracking your spending is going to tell you. So for me, I have a couple of, like, as you can see on this page, most of it's food. My food category is actually this light blue. And then I have other things like miscellaneous is yellow, beauty is this bright pink here, car maintenance and gas is purple, just to give you an idea of how I track my expenses. Now, in the month of August, I was able to save $439 from my cash envelopes. Now, I get a lot of questions like, what does that look like on your expense tracker? If you are saving any money that you had left over in your cash envelopes, you want to include a line item right here on your cash expense tracker. For me, I just put savings, what I'm saving for, and the amount I was able to save from my cash envelopes. There was a couple other different things that I actually forgot to do for the month of August. August was sell 2 things in August. That was the August Savings Challenge. It was all about looking for things around your house that you aren't using or really wanting or needing, and selling it either on Facebook Marketplace, Poshmark, or Mercari to come up with some extra income for your financial goals. And that's what we accomplished in August. I made $55. Doesn't seem like a lot, but I didn't have time to go down to my storage unit, and even just upstairs in my apartment, I was able to find 2 or 3 things to sell on Facebook Marketplace. So I wrote down the income that I made from Facebook Marketplace and what I use that money for, and everything is going towards my house savings. And this is what it would look like on your expense tracker. I have 2 expense trackers, one for cash spending and one for my checking account. My checking account really is only for receiving income and paying bills. However, there are sometimes other things happen, like a stop at McDonald's. I didn't have my food envelope with me. This is why your checking account cushion is so important in your budget. So I like to keep a checking account buffer or cushion in my checking account in case I have to use my debit card. Now, I'm an all cash spender, but it's still really important to have that cushion. Like for that example of me, my son wanted to stop and get a Happy Meal after the park, and I didn't have my food envelope with me. I only had my fun envelope at the time, so I just decided to use my debit card because I knew I had that cushion in place. I also received my Ebates check. If you are an Ebates user, now Ebates, I'll put a link in the description of this video on how to sign up for that. But if you do shopping online, maybe you're ordering things for your son's school clothing or your children's school activities or whatever it may be, Ebates gives you cash back on those online purchases. And I got my big fat check in August for $287 cash back. So it was pretty big fat check. Anyways, this is what my checking account or my expense tracker looked like for August. Once you have this information, it's going to tell you everything that you need to close out your budget. Now, I use 3 separate different worksheets called Where Did My Money Go worksheets. One is the monthly budget category breakdown. Where did your money go? Where are your dollars going? It's really important to know that so you can see if there's any areas where you can realistically cut spending. These are my categories for my budget. Now, I always like to write how much I'm off by. Now, of course, you want your numbers to match. Essentially, your income minus your expenses should be 0. But as an all cash spender, I get a lot of change. I get a lot of change from spending all my cash. I like to save my change every single month, and at the end of the year, I make a one-time savings contribution with that change to my son's college fund. It was one of the ways that when my budget was really tight in the beginning, in my heart, I knew as a mom, I wanted to do something to start preparing for his future, but I didn't have a lot of money to do that. So saving my spare change put my heart at peace, knowing I was taking steps for his future, but I was also doing it by not really having to cut back a whole lot in my budget categories or going out and finding more income. So I'm going to always be a little bit off because here's the thing, I don't track the change that I save. So I'm always going to be a little bit off in my budget when I close out my budget. So I was off by about $38, not huge, not something that I would really worry about. Now here's the thing, if you are feeling really overwhelmed and frustrated and you can't get your numbers to match, move on. Leave it in the past. Don't get so frustrated where you're going to force yourself to quit. That's not what closing out your budget is supposed to do. So move on to the next month and just tell yourself you'll try to do better next month. There's a reason you're off. Maybe somewhere you wrote an expense down wrong, or you counted something as income when it was supposed to be an expense, or whatever it may be. Move on, put it in the past, and then start fresh for the new month. So for me, I was under budget. That's why all these little arrows are down arrows. I was under budget in the month of August. Now, even as a paycheck budgeter, I still assign myself monthly budget categories. There should be some type of limit. Like if you're getting paid twice a month, what is your overall budget for those paychecks? So it'd be a total of a 2-week time frame for each paycheck. Here are the monthly budgets. So I was below. Huge improvement on my food spending. I have a $400 monthly budget. That's just for me and my son. I only spent $316 in the month of August, so $84 below all of my budget categories. Another thing, your total income, your total monthly income is your starting balance. Now, what is your starting balance? Your starting balance is any money that you have left in your checking account on the first day of a new tracking period. So I track my spending from the first to the last day of the month. Maybe you track your spending from the first paycheck of the month to the first paycheck of the following month. Whatever is easiest for me. I get paid on the first, so it's really easy for me just to track my spending from the first to the last day of the month. So on August 1st, now I know I'm closing out my budget a little bit early this month. So technically, the new starting period for me is September 30th, which is today. But what do I have left in my checking account on August 1st, or in this case, on September 1st, when I'm going to be looking into the future at the new month? So I'm closing out my budget a little bit earlier this month. I'm actually closing it out on August 30th instead of September 1st, when I would usually close out my budget. But your starting balance is what you have in your checking account today, the day you are closing out your budget. Same with your cash envelopes. Now, as you guys probably noticed on my on my August expense tracker for cash, I saved all of my cash from my envelopes except for one, my clothing envelope. I decided to roll over the amount that I had in my clothing envelope into the new month, which means I have a starting balance. And that's going to look like, and we're moving into September, don't get confused. It's going to be really confusing. We're flipping between August, but September, I want to show you what this means. In September, I have a starting balance in cash of $120 because I rolled over cash from last month to the new month. or last pay period to the new pay period. So it's what you have left over either in your cash envelopes or your checking account. Plus any incoming income. It could be savings that you're using. It could be a paycheck that you're receiving. It could be a gift card that you're using, a bonus that you received. That is considered incoming income. Total monthly income for me was $6,097. Now remember, that's not all earned income. That's money that I had left over in my checking account from the prior pay period or tracking period. Plus, I did have some savings that I used, which was my son's birthday savings in August. All right, so the next one we talk about is going to be the monthly debt and savings breakdown. Now, this is great because this tells you if your spending is aligning with your financial goals. You can tell me, well, Miko, I saved $973 in the month of August, and I would ask you, well, what are you saving for? Did most and the majority of the money that you saved go towards your number one priority? Or did it go maybe to the fifth priority? So this is really going to tell you if your spending is aligning with what your financial goals are. I saved 16% of my income. I saved $973 in the month of August. Sinking funds, my house savings goal, my son's college fund, and car maintenance is where my savings went. And as you can see, this aligns perfectly with my goals. My number one goal is my house savings. 61% of the money that I saved went towards my house savings. 25% went towards my sinking funds, which is preparing myself in the future so I don't feel prepared to use my credit card or go into debt for those expenses. And then 10% went into my son's college fund, 4% to my car maintenance. You would fill out, now I don't have debt, but you would fill out the debt section the exact same way. You don't want to know just how much debt you paid off. You want to know what debt you paid off and making sure that that is aligning with your debt payoff plan goals. The very last worksheet that I use is called the monthly spending comparison. This allows me to compare my spending from this month to last month. This is telling you whether or not you hit any financial goals that you may have set for yourself, or if you are tweaking and perfecting as you're going along, are those changes making a difference for the positive in your budget? So everything, if I spent less this month than I did last month in July, it's green. If I spent more this month than in July, it's red. So this was me for August. As you can see, a lot was less than. Pretty much all of my categories I spent less than I did last month. So especially food, I was $157 less than last month, which is great because I did really challenge myself to spend less in my food budget just because I went $73 over budget last month. So I'm like, no. So I really challenged myself in that area. And then beauty, I spent $148 less in that category, which was huge. So those are the 3 where did my money go worksheets. This is what's going to tell you how to make changes, where to make changes in your budget to improve it as you go along, because your budget's always going to get better and better and better as you go along. So that is my full August budget recap. If you found this video helpful, please like it and don't forget to subscribe.